fascism, if you will. They also did this thing where they mixed the powers of the priest and the king together, kind of mixing church and state like we're familiar with, but for them it was like temple and state kind of thing. And it's important to note briefly that the nation state of Israel today very much upholds the image of the Maccabees. Not in spite of their militarism, but because of their militarism. The image of the conqueror is something that they really embrace. And that is why yet again and again and again, we say Zionism and Judaism are not the same thing. And if you want proof of that, the ancient rabbis themselves rejected the Maccabees. I like to think that that is why the book of Maccabees is not in the Hebrew Bible. And that's why the story of the oil created by the rabbis is snuck into the story of Hanukkah, so that we wouldn't remember the Maccabees. And so I offer this to you, because I like to think that the real miracle of Hanukkah is that the lie worked. Because we don't really remember or talk about the Maccabees. What we remember and we talk about is the story of how a little bit of oil, a little bit of light found a way to last in a very dark time. We get to choose the stories that we tell, which means we do have a say, however small, in what and how things will be remembered. And I offer this to you because I know in these times it is very easy to lose hope and maybe even easier to lose faith. But here is something ancient that tells us quite literally, history is not just written by the victors. That's always been a bullshit lie told to us by the conquerors to try to make us believe them. But the truth is that the truest history has and always will be written through the love that is nurtured and made to last. And so to round this out, what I'm trying to tell you is that maybe the miracle of Hanukkah is that it actually happened. That 2,000 years later, the story of how love and light found a way to last won out against the narrative of militarism and fascism. And so we stand here tonight to light these candles and say these blessings and protest and chant and sing, because if the miracle happened once, it can happen again. And so if you know the words and the melody, please join me in saying our blessings. If you don't, please turn on your everybody turn on your flashlights, and we're going to make some light and make some love and make some song with our 3 Hanukkah blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Hashem Kiddushan b'mitzvotav b'tzivenu le'adlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech she'asa nisim lavoteinu vayamim hahem b'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam ve'yiganu lazman hazeh. We're going to round out the candlelight blessing with one Hanukkah song that's traditionally sung. It's a nice melody called Ma'od Sur. For me, it's special just every year remembering with my family and my mom lighting Hanukkah candles. And this is the song that we sing. I'm probably not going to get to light candles with my family this year, so lighting them and singing with all of you means a lot to me. If you know the words and the melody, please sing along. And if you don't, this song is termed The Rock of Ages. And I just would like you to think about what is it that's enduring for you, or what is it that you wish to be enduring for you going to 2026. So if you know the words, please join me in Ma'od Sur. Ma'od Sur Yeshuati Lecha na'eh neshabeach Tikom beit tefillah
נולדתי, ושם תודה נזבח. לצחים מטבע, ניצב נבע. אז אגמור בשיר מזמור, חנוכת המזבח. אז אגמור בשיר מזמור,
Thank you. I'm going to pass it back to Al.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to hear from Sivan, who's going to lead us in a blessing for olive oil.
Hi, everyone. Jews have a tradition to say blessings over many things. We have a tradition of saying 100 blessings a day. And one of the things we bless often is food, specifically things that nourish us and bring us to this moment. And we say thank you to the Eternal for bringing us something that we can put in our bodies and nourish our souls. So for Hanukkah, we say a blessing in this group. We're going to say a blessing for olive oil and say thank you for the fruit of the tree. And in Judaism, we also have a tradition of talking about the tree of life. So anytime Jews talk about trees, sometimes it's literal trees, and a lot of times we're talking about the tree of life, the core of what ties us all together. Yep. That's a message or something. And as we say this, I invite us all to think of a fruit in your life, something that brings the life force that brings us all together, something that nourishes you to keep you in this fight. May the sparks embedded in pure olive oil rise to the place of Oseh Shalom Bimromav, the one who makes peace in the heavens. May the farmers and harvesters and pressers of oil be supported by those of us who light our Hanukkiyot with oil tonight. May the olive trees of Palestine thrive, and may well-being flow through the land where they grow and among all of its inhabitants. And we say thank you for the fruit of the tree. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari ha'etz. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sivan. I want to remind folks that we do have song and action sheets that you should be able to be pulling up on your phones. If you don't have them already, we have some QR codes. If you don't have a QR code, raise your hand and JVP members will make sure you have a song sheet on your phone. So next we're going to sing a little bit more with No Enemies. You want to come up and lead us in a few songs? Thank you.
It's great. Our first song will be Danos un Corazón, which is a Latin American protest song. And Top Hat here is going to lead us, and I have the lyrics. And as we're singing Danos un Corazón, then I'll bring in a chant underneath, and it's going to be great.
All right. Danos un corazón. Danos un corazón fuerte para luchar. Danos un corazón. Danos un corazón fuerte para luchar.
Danos fuerte para luchar. Danos un corazón. Danos un corazón fuerte para luchar. Okay, now we're gonna do a song, two African American spirituals, and the lyrics are updated, but the music and the tradition comes from a community that created joy and beauty out of oppression and suffering. The first song we're gonna do is When the Saints Go Marching In, and I'll sing it to you and you respond to me. Oh, immigrants are welcome here. Oh, immigrants are welcome here. Oh, how I love you as my neighbor. Immigrants are welcome here. One more time. Oh, immigrants are welcome here. Oh, immigrants are welcome here. Oh, how I love you as my neighbor. Immigrants are welcome here. Okay, very good. There's another African American spiritual called Swing Low Sweet Chariot, and the lyrics are very similar. These lyrics are about to sing tonight, so I'll sing it to you line by line, and you sing it back to me. Immigrants are welcome here. Mother Earth is everyone's home. Mother Earth is everyone's home. Immigrants are welcome here. Mother Earth is everyone's home. Okay, we'll sing it all together, and then we'll do a mashup of these two songs. Immigrants are welcome here. Mother Earth is everyone's home. Immigrants are welcome here. Mother Earth is everyone's home. Immigrants welcome here. Oh, immigrants are welcome here. Oh, how I love thee as my neighbor. Immigrants are welcome here. Oh, immigrants are welcome here. Oh, immigrants are welcome here. Oh, how I love thee as my neighbor. Oh, immigrants are welcome here.
Thank you all so much. So we're going to be here for until 8, and we're going to make sure that everyone inside here, as we sing, as we chant, that everyone from right behind these windows to the folks who are all the way in the back can hear us. Okay? So come for one and face us all. Come for one. Okay. Come for one. Come for one. So next we're gonna hear from Jocelyn from Aurora Unidos. Is that okay?
Hi, I'm Yoselin with Aurora Unido CSO. We are thrilled to hear about this win for Jeanette and really hope to hear good news back on Friday. Some of you may have heard about another win that our city had recently. The Denver City Council chose not to expand the contract with Key Lime Air at Denver International University. So we consider this a real win, and we actually met with the CEO of Centennial Airport about 2 weeks ago, and so we really have been working on this campaign. So the reason I'm here, and I appreciate Denver Boulder JVP for allowing me to stand up here and chat real quick. But we have an event coming up this Saturday. So we're having a national day of action against the deportation flights. So there will be 2 events happening here locally in the metro area. There will be an event at Centennial Airport led by immigrant partnership teams from 12 to 2. Aurora Unido CSO is also leading a car rally at Denver International Airport, also from 12 to 2. So I have flyers for that. I'll be coming around passing those out if you're interested, but we'd love to see you and continue the fight against the deportation flights that are separating families and that are harming our communities. And so again, hope to see you come out this Saturday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And don't forget, make sure you get a flyer so you know where to show up and when. We also have some art making happening, and we're going to hear from Ella to just give us a little bit of directives about what's happening and how you can participate.
All right, so we are going to be making some poppies that we're going to be putting up on the fence. We have some beautiful reminders for the folks inside that their community is here, and we're not going to be forgetting about them because it is pretty windy, and this does involve tissue paper. If you could come up to this table and make sure that you speak with Jazz or M to help get some direction on how we're making those poppies so we don't just have tissue paper flying off into our environment, that would be amazing. Thank you.
So I want you to repeat after me. Jeanette has the right to live in freedom, the right to return home. Palestinians have the right to live in freedom, the right to return home. Political prisoners have the right to live in freedom, the right to return home. Next, we're going to hear from Hayden. I see you doing something important, making sure light happens. But Hayden from JVP is...
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. This has been so beautiful so far. My name is Hayden. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a member of Denver Boulder Jewish Voice for Peace. As was mentioned before, JVP is the largest organization of anti-Zionist Jews in the world, fighting for a free Palestine. We have fought at every turn against the efforts of the Israeli and U.S. governments to turn Jewish grief into a justification for this atrocious genocide. And today we're here to stand in solidarity with immigrants in our community and bring the collective practice of Hanukkah to the GEO facility here in Aurora. As Michael already shared, Hanukkah has a complicated history. And since Michael kind of shared numerous stories, I won't get deep into it. But it also means rededication. And so this year, we rededicate ourselves to the deepest values of our tradition in the context of rampant racism and Islamophobia. It's a call for progressive Jews to wrestle with the complexities of our histories, mostly made popular by Christian hegemony, which uplifted Hanukkah out of a desire to create a Jewish equivalent to Christmas due to the similar time of year. Hanukkah is a call to examine Ashkenazi Jewish assimilation into whiteness, conflicting Jewish responses to empire, and collaboration with those in power. This time teaches us about darkness and light, how they are both necessary and illuminate each other. It's a time which we work to unlearn the ways white supremacist culture says darkness is something to be feared. On Hanukkah, we light increasing numbers of candles at the darkest time of the year in the northern hemisphere. The legacy of racism in our consciousness uses light and dark as metaphors for good and bad, hope and despair. But on Hanukkah, we are given the opportunity to reframe these patterns of thought and language. So I'm standing here today as a member of Jewish Voice for Peace to examine how everything is connected. What has been happening in Palestine for the last 75 years is now being wrought by ICE. And I mean that quite literally. It is a known fact that the U.S. law enforcement will travel to Israel to meet with and be trained by Israelis' military and police forces. In JVP, we call this program the Deadly Exchange. The Deadly Exchange is an active partnership. The U.S. gives resources and military power to Israel. The government asks Israel to field test it on Palestinians, and then Israel gives their findings back to the U.S. police and National Guard, who can use those teachings in our local communities. That ain't right. And we see this in the brutal crackdown of public protests against ICE. They're pulling from Israel's playbook of treating protesters as enemy combatants and controlling media coverage of state violence. We see this in the way that ICE is bringing surveillance tools being used abroad in Gaza, created by companies like Palantir. Palantir, based here in Denver, they've developed technologies that have been tested and used on civilians in Gaza, which has led to massive humanitarian crimes, including the murder of thousands of children and hundreds of journalists. They use AI to weaponize people's data, track them, surveil them, and eventually kill them or take away their rights. Here, we see this in our flop cameras. Flop cameras are capture people's license plate information and track movement of vehicles registered to people's names. So when you see a flop camera, you should know that that data ends up at Palantir, who has an enormous contract with ICE, where they handle the full life cycle of surveillance, capture, and deportation of individuals in this country. In Palestine, that cycle is surveillance and then often capture or murder. And as a project, Palantir's work echoes IBM's work in Nazi Germany. They used their data and punch cards to help Nazis track entire populations of targeted minorities in order to deport them and eventually execute them, the full life cycle of operations. Here, Palantir is offering that full suite of tools, honed and tested in Palestine, for ICE to be able to surveil immigrants, using it not only to facilitate a white nationalist project and escalating fascism, but to potentially disappear people to places like El Salvador, where they are thrown into conditions that can only be described as concentration camps. Everything is connected. So here in Denver, there's this campaign to stop flop cameras and get Palantir out of Denver. So if you want to join them or get involved, check out the Instagram pages or talk to the Denver Anti-War Action or Denver Democratic Socialists of America. But this goes deeper too. Gaza's been a testing ground for how surveillance systems have been used, and it's no longer just an experiment. This is not just physical, but deep psychological harm. As Mohammed Mawish, a Palestinian journalist, says, life in Gaza for the past 2 years has been a process of losing everything visible, our families, homes, streets, but it's also been a process of losing what cannot be seen, the private space of the mind, the intimacy between people, and the ability to speak without being feared of being monitored by a machine. This all-encompassing surveillance system is literally reshaping how people speak, how they're moving, how they're even thinking. People shrink their lives, rehearse manufactured versions of themselves to reduce risk, which creates an enormous psychological burden that personally I can't even imagine. So we're here today to demand that all of this comes to an end. We demand that the Colorado representatives lead the U.S. government to stop funding Israel's continued genocide, apartheid, and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank. We demand to stop the surveillance of immigrant communities, Palestinians, and resistance movements. There's several calls to ask businesses to terminate their leases or oppose Palantir, and you can find the links to get involved with the Block the Bombs campaign or the Palantir movements on the QR codes and the song sheets as well, so check those out. We demand safety through solidarity. So donate or volunteer, get involved with the Colorado Rapid Response Network, which responds to ICE raids and deportations and ICE activity across our communities. And we're here because we're also want to free Jeanette, right? So let's support Jeanette's case. Like, amazing news tonight. Buy a t-shirt, get involved, figure out how you can show up and support on Friday. So let's free Jeanette, let's free all political prisoners, and let's free Palestine. For me, like, these times are dark, right? It's dark. And While we know these times are dark, the dark also has the power to enable us to dream. As we slow down and we bundle up in the Northern Hemisphere, this can also be a time to send up sparks of imagination. We celebrate Hanukkah collectively because it's not about finding our singular light in the darkness, but a time of collective dreaming, collective candle lighting, and the victories that are possible from persisting to fight each other in the dark. So I'm here not to find light in the darkness through fabricated hope or spiritual bypassing, but to stand with you all in the dark. I'm here to use the darkness to dream with you. Because I imagine it's hard to dream when you're thrown into cages or waiting for the next bomb to drop. But tonight, we will light the candles and imagine a world where everyone gets to dream. A world with an actual lasting ceasefire, with a free and liberated Palestine, where there's no ICE terrorizing and abducting people off the streets, where people like Jeanette are not imprisoned indefinitely for political speech, where Palestinians and immigrants in the US can determine their own futures, dream the life they want, and live the lives they dream. Free Palestine. Free Jeanette. Free all political prisoners.
Free them all! Free them all! Free them all! Thank you, Hayden. And next, we're going to have Michael come up and lead us in a mourner's Kaddish. Thank you.
Hey again, everyone. First, if you don't have a QR code yet, if you find someone next to you, the QR codes are also in the song sheet, so you can find a friend and get that QR code as well. But we're going to do a mourner's Kaddish, which is one of the more important prayers in Judaism for mourning and grieving. And I was told to sort of frame it a little bit, and there's a lot of things that could be said in it. If you come to any of our events, you probably heard us frame this a bit. The one thing I want to say tonight is mourner's Kaddish is a part of every single Jewish prayer service. Shachri, Mincha, Ariv. Jews pray 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, night. It's there every single service, and on Shabbat it's there multiple times. And at times I like to think that the whole point of a Jewish prayer service is actually just to give people a chance to show up and get to grieve and say mourner's Kaddish. Because Kaddish is a prayer that falls according to Halakha, Jewish law. It's in a category called Devar Shemikdusha, a matter of holiness, because grief is holy work. And that means that you have to be in minyan. You have to have at least be a part of 10 people. You can't grieve alone. And so a lesson of Kaddish is that the responsibility we have is to seek out opportunities to share grief, and even more so to create opportunities for each other to grieve. And some of you heard me say this before, and I say it more and more because I believe it more and more. But grief put out into the light starts to look a lot like love. And in the times to come, we're going to need as much of that as possible. And so as tradition, before going into Kaddish, we're going to open the floor. And we're going to give everyone a chance, whoever wants to, needs to say the names of anyone that you are grieving, whether it's someone who has passed recently, an anniversary, a person, a place, a thing, or if they're just on your heart. And so I'll be going around and I'll be facing, and as I come to your section, say that name as loud or as quiet as you like, so we can hold grief together. I'll be starting over here. Take your time to think about it, but let's hold this grief together. I like to add the name of my grandmother, Eve Tversky. It's her yard site, and also Harvey Kander. The wind coming through at this time, the ruach, the spirit of the world, is So if you know blessing words, please say it with me. And if you don't know the words, please join me in the act of Kaddish. By which I mean, think about how are you going to remember and honor these names, any names, all the names, all of them, going forward. How are you going to keep the light and the love of everything alive? Because that is the task of grief. Grief demands of us that we keep loving for the rest of our lives, never stopping. Yit gadal v'yit gadash shmei rabah. V'atim say v'yamlik say v'chayachon v'yomachon v'ed v'ov Beit Yisrael v'agalav v'yizmak hariv v'yivru amen. Yesh shmei rabah mevarach v'alam almei almaya. Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudshah v'richu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata zamiram v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'ramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'yachol Yoshvei Tevel v'yachol Philistine v'imru amen.
I just want to share something that when we say Israel in prayer, it refers to Jewish community and people, or Am Yisrael. This is different than Medinat Yisrael, a separate term and concept which refers to the modern political state of Israel. This distinction is especially important as we continue to fight against continued genocide, occupation, colonialism, colonization, and extreme violence against Palestinians. Let's just take a deep breath. You're up against a lot. And we can only experience safety and a path towards liberation through solidarity. With that, we'll have V come up from hand to share some words with us. Thanks, V.
Thank you all so much for being here. We've heard so many different themes today. There's a lot of that duality happening where we talk about the struggle and we talk about the light. My name is V. I'm with House Keys Action Network Denver. We're a housing rights, racial justice organization. And, you know, sometimes people think, well, why are you talking about housing when we're talking about so many other things? And it's because housing rights are about who has a right to a home. It's about who has a right to a sense of home, which comes with safety, which comes with being surrounded by the people who love you and who you love. Housing rights are about, you know, who has a right to being in this land. And because of that, it spans from, you know, the displacement of Palestinians in Palestine and how so many of them have lost their home and have lost their housing, have lost that right and fight for that right every day. And then it spans to here when we talk about the fact that inside of GEO, there are posters that say telephones provided in housing. And they refer to this place as housing. And this is by design. Every time they do this, they are destabilizing these communities more and more. Every time they go out and during the day kidnap our loved ones and rip them from their family, they are destabilizing that family so that they can no longer pay the rent, so that they are left in a position where they are fending for themselves, where they end up, you know, on the streets facing whole new challenges while their loved ones are detained. This is a very real reality for hundreds of families right now that we are working with and that continue to increase exponentially as immigration policy doesn't seem to get any better. I could talk about so much pain, and I think be very justified. I do want to, for one thing, I do want to say we have another thing to celebrate. Two people that we've been working with through HAND, that we've been connected with, who were in detention, one of whom was in GEO for 10 months and 6 months in California. They've now been released and they are back and they are free. We are so happy for them because they get to bring their beauty and their light to our community, and they get to be actively participating. But now, what is it that they are struggling with? Well, housing. And so right now, they are just ones of many that are saying we're not in a position to be able to sustain payments on rent. One of them has a host who actually came to one of these vigils and connected and decided that she felt that personal responsibility, and she stood up and she made it possible for him to return to community by being his sponsor, which is incredible. And I just want each and every one of us to feel that personal responsibility because, like Piper was saying in the beginning, we're not waiting for anybody to save us. We are the ones who are going to be saving us as things get drearier and darker. So I'm going to say a few things. And when I make a statement, I want you to either say, I'm pissed, or I'll be there. And I think you'll be able to know which is which based on the statement. How do you feel about the fact that they kidnap our neighbors in daylight and expect us to do nothing about it? Where are you going to be when they release our loved ones with more to do? How do you feel about the fact that so much of this is happening around us and it feels like you don't have a voice? Where are you going to be when they ask us to use our voice to speak up for those who have even less opportunity? How do you feel about the fact that migrant families who are struggling are taking in other kids because their loved ones were deported? And so now these are families with 2, 3, 4 kids that aren't their own that have to somehow make it. Where are you going to be when that mother in need is crying out and saying that she doesn't know how she's going to provide for her children during these holiday time? So how do you feel? Will you show up? You will be there. And where are you going to be Saturday from 12 to 2 when Aurora Needles is leading the fight and the rally against Key Lime Air? And where are you going to be later on Saturday when these families, including the recently released, including the mothers who have taken in other kids, are hosting an event at the garage, 32, here we go. We're getting into 3280 West 32nd Avenue. I have flyers. Where are you going to be Saturday night when we are asking you to fundraise to support these families with rental assistance? Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. So let me tell you a little bit about that. So on Saturday evening, 7 to 10 at the garage, we are coming together with so many of these families, and a lot of whom are going to personally be represented. They're selling cultural foods. They are auctioning art. And we are also doing different things like a location game. The very group that screen printed these shirts is doing a special one-time release of a shirt at this event. So that's going to be really cool. Live portrait painting, everything. Now, joy is resistance. Joy is resilience. We can use this opportunity to come together to celebrate and build. And we are not waiting for handouts. We will keep going to City Council every single Monday with these families asking for a family shelter. We will keep doing that fucking shit because that needs to happen at the same time. But we also know that there's a struggle right now that each of us can be a part of and prevent. And so if you make a donation to the Rental Assistance GoFundMe, it's $10 before the event, day of. and $15 to have on Saturday. So I'll be walking around with flyers, but please show up. Actually, I'm sorry. Where are you going to be on Saturday night, 7 to 10 with these families? Yeah, right. I'll be there. I will see you. Thank you.
All right, feeling the wind. Thank you, V. There's lots of places to show up. On your song and action sheet, there's some direct links, and then there's flyers going around. Make sure to get the info right so you can show up at the right place, right time. And we just have a few more things in our program. We're going to have No Enemies come up for another song, and then a few final words, and then one final song where we're going to sing as loud as we can. No Enemies? Yeah?
Thank you. Thank you. We have another African American spiritual that we're going to lead. This song was also translated by the pecan shellers that were striking in San Antonio in 1920. So it has a really rich history of speaking truth to power. Melody. Oh, he does. Okay.
And then we'll continue in Spanish. All right. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. It's like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. And now in Spanish. No moverá. Nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverá. No nos moverá. No nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río, no nos moverá.
Thank you all. I know we're almost done, and want to just remind, I'm sorry I forgot, but we have hot water over there and hand warmers. We still have some poppies we want to put up before the wind picks up. And if you are one of the people who needs to do one final announcement for an action coming up, now is your time. And we're going to close with We Rise by Bajit Levine. But you have an announcement, Arnie? Yeah.
Just real quick, if you want to buy one of these great T-shirts, Tanya's in that red car right across the street.
And those T-shirts will help pay for bond when it gets granted. So, how about that? Also, I've been asked to share these flyers are going around for a new food pantry that's open every Wednesday from 4 to 7. It just had its first event, and this food pantry is open to anyone. And one of the first people who came was a young man who's caring for his undocumented father, and they're not able to access other resources because of how our immigration laws exclude people. But this is the flyer, and someone is passing them around right now. Please give it to someone who could benefit from that pantry. Also, next week on Christmas Eve, there'll be a vigil here at 9:30 in the evening, led by the Unitarian Universalist Society. So 9:30, not 6 o'clock. I mean, you're welcome to come at 6 and do your own thing, but there will also be a Christmas Eve vigil at 9:30 in the evening, in the nighttime, 9:30 at night. Sorry, thank you for that clarification. 9:30 at night, Christmas Eve. Don't forget to get your Chinga la Mijas t-shirts across the street before you head out.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily with Denver, and we're actually here for our hate here and thanks to bear one of the greatest threats to humanity on our planet of all time. So you know that their global headquarters are in downtown Denver, currently at the Tabor Center. No volunteer out of Colorado for good. So I think previous speakers have done an excellent job of talking about all of the horrific, insidious ways that they are just seeping into every aspect of our lives. They have decided to move their global headquarters because so many organizations disrupted their ability to just lay low downtown that they say they got a nicer building, but we all know the fuck out of them. So they're trying to move to Cherry Creek to the financial house, probably early spring. So we're going to continue and we're going to escalate and we're going to put so much pressure on them. They're not going to move to the financial house, that we're going to kick them out entirely. So staff, I know there's so many events this weekend, but on Sunday when, we ask ourselves where we'll be, my hope is that you would come out at noon to the intended new location, which is at 205 Detroit Street, Cherry Creek North. And we're going to have a noise rally. This means bring all your pots and pans, your instruments, your voices. Oh, you all have incredible voices, it's obvious. So we need everyone out there on Sunday. We know that they're going to the offices, that there's so many businesses and community folks. We've already been talking to them, canvassing. They don't want politics in their ear either. So we're going to disrupt the hell out of them and make them unable to do business as usual until they comply with our demands. So we'll see you Sunday at noon. Thank you.
See, I don't know about you, but in preschool we did like statement cleanup at the same time. That's what's going to happen now because the wind is picking up and we need more folks to finish up the poppies. So come to the table to my left and come. And we're going to sing We Rise by Batya Levine. And if you, I'd like everyone to go to their cars with a buddy. So if you need a buddy, come up to me and we'll make sure that you have one. So if you know this song, and we need help putting the poppies on the fence. So if you have capacity, come to the table up front. While we're singing, we'll put the poppies on the fence. And then we will just all head home or head to wherever we go next, safely and together. Who keeps us safe? Who keeps us safe? All right, here we go, singing, putting poppies up, and cleaning up together. We rise, humbly hearted rise, won't be divided, rise, rise, with hope in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here and we rise. All of the children rise. Elders with wisdom. Elders with wisdom.
We find ourselves here in all we we find ourselves here in all in prayer. We're right here, and we're right. Eyes from the ragged right. With tears in her eyes, with tears in her You're back here.